Hi guys, my name is Akshat Goel and I'm presently a fourth year student at NUGS Kolkata. Today, we'll discuss how to prep for the CLAT exam. So question that a lot of my students often ask me is attending classes in the coaching center or doing mocks and practice questions the only way to prepare for CLAT? Not at all. You can prepare for CLAT in your day-to-day life as well. So today, we'll decode how do we do this in our day-to-day life for the different subjects. Now, before we delve into the different subjects, let's understand how can we improve our overall performance with all subjects, keeping all subjects in mind. So firstly, understand that CLAT is not a rote memory test like your board examinations or any other examination. It's all about your aptitude. What that means is they want to assess how you're thinking, how you're analyzing the information given to you. As such, you can easily improve some soft skills that you can learn in day-to-day life and apply it to the CLAT exam. Now, we'll look into two general tips for all CLAT aspirants to improve or inculcate in the day-to-day life. Firstly, understand that all of the sections that you'll be assessed on requires you to read a lot of information. All of them have approximately 450 words in every single passage that you're required to decode and understand before you even go to the questions. As such, your reading ability, your reading speed, and your ability to grasp whatever you're reading becomes extremely important. It is important not only for English or logic, but all 5 sections across the exam. As such, understand that you can easily build up this core competency of being a better reader. How do we do that? Simply by reading more. I remember my own mentor used to tell me, read anything and everything. If you're sitting on a bus ride, read the back of the bus ticket as well. So this is something that I wholeheartedly support. I want you to read as much as you can. This will help you improve your reading ability, your reading speed, as well as understand different concepts and familiarize yourself with the different areas that can be tested in the CLAT exam. Secondly, while I wholeheartedly believe that every single section in the CLAT exam is equally important for you to prepare for, there is one section that can at times be a cut above the others. And this, obviously, is the legal reasoning section. Now, I do not mean to say that legal reasoning is more difficult or it is more complicated. Not at all. The only reason I want you to pay a special focus on the legal reasoning section is because this is the tiebreaker section. In case 2 individuals end up getting the same score in the CLAT exam, whichever individual has the highest mark in the legal reasoning section will get the higher rank. As such, it is very important that your ability to solve the legal reasoning section is at par and is a cut above the rest. Now, keeping these basic principles in mind, let's delve into specific advice for each and every subject and how can we improve our score and our ability to answer these questions from our day-to-day life. Let's start with the English language. Now, understand that the English language requires you to delve into the nuances of comprehension passage. Again, your ability to read and absorb information becomes very, very important. As such, besides just reading a lot, like I advised previously, specifically for English language, I would request you to broaden what you're reading. If you're a fan of fiction books, maybe read a little beyond fiction. Read non-fiction literature, read philosophy, read economic articles, read history articles, read scientific journals. The reason I ask you to do this is because the English language section will give you passages from these different subjects. And if you're familiar with your understanding of basic scientific principles or what do philosophical articles look like, you will not have any trouble facing them head-on in the CLAT exam. So reading more and reading more varied sources is tip number 1 for English language. Now, moving on to current affairs and general knowledge. Understand that this is a section that requires you to keep yourself abreast of what is happening all across the world and what is happening in today's time. Tip number 1 for general knowledge would just be including this practice of reading a newspaper. Read editorials every day. This will not only give you the debate about the issues on day-to-day life, but also keep you informed and help you understand different concepts that everybody is talking about or is being discussed in every day-to-day life. Tip number 2 for general knowledge would be to not only read news articles, but delve more deeper into them. Understand that even in GK, it's no longer, asking questions such as who is the present president of India or who is the present prime minister of India. They would instead give you, say, a very long form article about presidential elections. And they'll ask you questions such as who was the first president? Who won the recent election? Who were the other candidates who stood for this presidential election? As such, it is important for you to dive deep into each and every single current affair piece that you read. Tie it with general knowledge and keep yourself informed of the same. Third and the last tip for general knowledge would be to revise again and again. Now, I understand this exam is not a rote memory exam at all. However, considering the vast amount of information we'll be consuming for general knowledge, it becomes imperative for you to revise it again and again. Otherwise, you'll forget an important event that happened 2 months before the exam if you're only keeping in touch with current affairs. As such, I would recommend write down whatever you're reading in a notebook and revise it again and again at the end of every month. So those are my 3 top tips for general knowledge. Let's now move on to legal reasoning. Legal reasoning, in my opinion, would be perhaps the most difficult section to prepare in day-to-day life. For a simple reason, it requires you to engage and understand some basic legal concepts. Tip number 1 for legal reasoning would be to understand some basic legal concepts on your own. Even though I agree, the consortium says that you're not required to have knowledge of the law previously. If you know how to use those core principles, it'll just help you prod along faster. It'll make your answering even accurate and faster. So I would request you to read the basic legal concepts such as contracts law, torts, basics of criminal law and family law, and keep them in mind while sitting for the exam. Number 2 for legal reasoning would just to inculcate interest in the law. This will not only help you engage with the law more, but also make this preparation more fun. You can decide to go ahead and watch movies about the law, read books and listen to podcasts, read news articles, whatever would be your way of, absorbing information. Just to build an interest in different types of law would be very helpful. And if you're getting started, my personal recommendation would be Thinking Like a Lawyer by Frederick Shaw. This is a book that my mentors recommended to me when I was preparing for CLAT, and I found it extremely useful to just engage with the law more. Now, moving on to the 4th section of logical reasoning. This section requires you to engage with the passage more and more. As such, for preparing for this, I would ask you to keep 3 questions in mind whenever you read a passage or a comprehension. Number 1, what is the author's main argument or the main idea behind it? Number 2, what are the assumptions that the author is using in this particular passage? And number 3, what external arguments could strengthen or weaken the author's main claim? So whenever you read any passage about anything or across subjects, ask yourself these 3 questions. This will help you build up the competency of identifying conclusions, main ideas, assumptions, as well as strengthening and weakening that is tested in the CLAT exam. Finally, for quantitative techniques. Now, this is a subject I see a lot of students stressing about because they're scared that they do not have very comprehensive knowledge of maths, or maths is not their favorite subject growing up. Let me assure you, you do not require any extreme or advanced knowledge of maths at all. Tip number 1 for quantitative techniques would be to learn small tips and tricks that will help you make shortcuts for multiplication, for addition, and so on and so forth. One basic example would be keep in mind how many inches are in a foot, or vice versa. These small calculations will help you while you sit for the exam and make your attempts very faster. Understand that the math section only requires basic class 10 arithmetics. It does not require any external or advanced knowledge. However, how quickly you answer these questions will help you save time and move on faster. This will give you an advantage on the others. As such, having small tips and tricks to help you fasten your calculation will just help you in the exam itself. And finally, for maths or quantitative techniques, there is no substitute but practice. This section requires the most practice for you to be conversant with basic arithmetics and how to apply them in the questions asked in the CLAT exam. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope this gives you a decent idea about how you can make your CLAT preparation fun and engaging in day-to-day life. Thank you so much for joining in. I'll see you again.